In this video, I'm going to teach you how to create a room schedule. And we already tagged all of the rooms in our interior space. And just keep in mind that just because you can't see the finishes in this view doesn't mean that Revit can't see them. So what I'm going to do is just start by creating a new schedule. So I'm going to right click and hit new schedule. And then here I'm going to scroll down and look for the room schedule component, and I'm going to hit OK. And just for fun, I'm going to select area, and then I'm going to hold down the shift button and select all and move them over. I want to make sure that the room number is all the way up at the top so that I can organize these in ascending order. And I want to make sure that the room name is all the way, is like second to that. And let's see, I want to sort based on room number in ascending order. And then after that, I don't think it really matters. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the OK button and see what information reveals itself on the schedule. So first thing I'm going to do is right click and, single click and do this in all caps. You can see I've done the same thing for my wall schedule. I changed that. And you can see here, it's actually not starting with the room number and name at the beginning. So I'm going to fix that really quickly. Let's see. It should be sorting by room number. Let's go ahead and figure out what's going on here. I'm going to move those up again and hit OK. There we go. Okay. Room number, room name, and look, the area. So that's really helpful as we're calculating square footage for flooring materials. The base finish, we have to populate that because we have wood baseboards and wood crown molding figured out, but Revit is still thinking about that as a sweep. And so we would have to tell this if we wanted to have vinyl base or wood base or pane base. The ceiling finish also should be populating, but it's not right now. And so what we would have to do is just go ahead and type ACT, which is short for acoustical ceiling tile, in the places that we have acoustical ceiling tile. We also could type GWB for gypsum wallboard. And then what's nice is after, once you've already placed that in, then you have a drop-down menu for the rest of it. The count is not really relevant, so we can go ahead and get rid of that as well. Department, floor finish. So the reason why some of these things aren't populating, even though you think that they might, is because we have a floor finish layer instead of a floor finish attached to the actual structural floor. The rest of these things we don't have populated at all. And that's because, again, we would have to hit the edit type and fill in this information for the actual floor itself. What we do have that's helpful is the ceiling height, the upper limit. We also have the perimeter. So if we needed to calculate, how much vinyl base, for example, we needed, it would be there as well. But just keep in mind that the wall finishes, all these finishes and things, they have to be populated both in the edit type properties, and then also Revit allows there to be flexibility here so that you can put in more detail. So for example, if we applied a wallpaper here, or if we applied a custom wallpaper in the reception area, it would populate if we created what I referred to in our learning unit as those live material tags. And so that's where you can select a material, apply it, and tag it with the specific manufacturer, and this information will populate more. But for right now, we have the basic information, and I'm going to add a couple of more pieces of information into some of these areas, and I'll show you how we can see it in a moment. So to further populate your schedule with that information, it's actually, schedules are not as intelligent as you think that they're going to be. So instead what we're going to do is I'm going to grab this hall area right here and populate some of the information, and I'll show you what I mean right now. If I tab until that little X reveals and I click on it, then the room information populates over here. Now you can see information about the room number and name. The department we're not going to put in, but the base finish, let's say, is going to be painted wood base. Now I'm entering this in manually, so Revit doesn't know this. It's not related to the field. It's so that the designer can populate the information with exactly what they want to put in, because when it comes to some of these finishes, it's really important that they're not just automatically generated, especially if they're going to be tied to specific information from the manufacturer. So ceiling finish is going to be painted, let's say that's going to be painted GWB, which is gypsum wallboard. Wall finish will be the same thing. Floor finish, we already know that's going to be wood. An occupant doesn't matter right now. So let's go ahead and hit apply. And now we should see all that in the room schedule for the hall. So see, there it is. Now, likewise, and I can go ahead and spread this out. Likewise, if I tapped in here and I did the restroom and the base finish was going to be tile base, the ceiling finish was going to be acoustic ceiling tile, which we call ACT. And this is going to be, actually, it's going to be 24 by 24 ACT, all caps. And the floor finish, we know because we put it in there, is going to be tile. Then all I need to do now is go over to the wall finish, and it's going to be a combination of painted gypsum wallboard, remember, because we have that split face, and tile. Again, this is why it's really helpful that these are sort of smart information that doesn't need to be determined by Revit, but is better for the designer to determine this. So now let's go ahead back to that floor plan. And let's go ahead to that restroom here. You can see it's still selected because Revit knows we were messing with it. And now as you scroll down, that information that I typed in the schedule is talking to the properties on the floor plan. So you can see here that it's a pretty amazing method of saving information. And again, the more information that you decide that you are going to populate within these fields, the more information will show up into the schedule. But for right now, I'm going to go back to the schedule and once again pause and get rid of the columns that we don't need for right now, so that we don't have a bunch of empty columns. And so eventually we can put this on our sheet. And so now as a final look for our room schedule, you can see that I've deleted the empty columns and I've left the ones that are most critical to our use as interior designers. I have entered in making sure to spell correctly all of the finished materials based on what would be appropriate there. And once I have them entered in, you can see they become drop downs here, so it makes it very easy. So all you need to do is just make sure that each of the columns are populated for each of your rooms, and now you will know how to make a professional looking finish schedule.